In ancient times, a magical kingdom lived under the rule of a great king named Richard. This kingdom was prosperous and full of beauty and magic. People lived in peace and happiness under the banner of their wise king. However, there was a dark shadow threatening the peace in the kingdom. An evil force called eternal darkness threatens to destroy the kingdom and crush hope and happiness. Eternal darkness was slowly expanding, engulfing everything in its path. When King Richard learns of the threat of eternal darkness, he decides to fight against it and save his people and his kingdom. He gathers a team of brave heroes and skilled wizards to help him in this dangerous task. King Richard and his team's journey was full of adventures and challenges. They traversed dangerous lands, fought fierce beasts, and faced many hardships. They used their strength and wisdom to defeat enemies and overcome the odds. During their journey, they discover that there is an ancient legend that speaks of a powerful weapon that can be used to defeat eternal darkness. This weapon was called the Sword of Light, and he believed that only a true king could use it. King Richard and his team set out to find the Sword of Light. They traveled to far and forgotten places and investigated ancient mysteries. Traversed dark labyrinths and sinister purses. Finally, after long and arduous adventures, King Richard and his team managed to find the Sword of Light. At a crucial moment, the king grabbed the sword and felt a current of positive energy fill his body. Using the Sword of Light, King Richard challenged eternal darkness to a decisive battle. An epic battle took place between the two great powers, where lightning and thunder accompanied, fire broke out and the earth moved. Thanks to the king's courage and fortitude, he succeeds in defeating the eternal darkness and expelling it from his kingdom. The sky turned from dark to light, and the earth revived again. Peace and happiness returned to the kingdom, and joy spread among its inhabitants. The people celebrated their victory, and King Richard returned to his palace amidst honors and appreciation from his people. And the kingdom continued to prosper and prosper under the rule of the wise monarch. Thus, the ancient story tells a story of bravery, sacrifice, and belief in goodness. It is a story that reminds us of the power of human will and its ability to overcome evil and restore light and hope in times of darkness. After the great victory and peace in the kingdom, King Richard decided to use this opportunity to build a better and more developed society. He established educational programs to teach young men magic and martial arts, with the aim of creating a generation capable of maintaining peace and defending the kingdom. Also, the king worked to expand the borders of the kingdom and develop trade relations with other kingdoms. He established diplomatic relations with the leaders of other countries, and concluded agreements for trade and cultural exchange. Thanks to the king's wise vision and his mighty efforts, the kingdom prospered and its power and brilliance increased in the world. It became a reference of civilization and justice, and people from all over the land came to learn about the beauty of the kingdom and the rule of King Richard. King Richard lived for a long time happily and successfully, being immortalized in the hearts of the people as a wise and brave king. The story of the Enchanted Kingdom and the adventures of King Richard is still being told to this day, inspiring future generations to strive for goodness, success, and overcoming difficulties. With the passage of time, the story of King Richard and his enchanted kingdom remained a mark of history and culture. The kingdom has become a popular tourist destination, as visitors flock to explore its beautiful places and ancient temples. Schools and academies were established to teach magic and martial arts, where talented young men from different places learn how to use magic and control ancient powers. As the generations passed, King Richard's sons took over the Queen and maintained the peace and prosperity of the kingdom. Wisdom and justice continued to control its lands, and technology and science developed alongside ancient magic, which contributed to raising the standard of living and the advancement of the kingdom. In this way, the story of King Richard and old times continues to live in people's hearts as an example of courage, determination, and sacrifice. This story reminds us of the importance of noble values and inner strength in facing challenges and building a better world. In the past, King Richard lived a long and fulfilling life. He led the kingdom wisely and justly, and established a political system based on popular participation and the rule of law. Through his wise guidance, the kingdom flourished in science, arts, and commerce. Universities and research centers have been set up to teach science and develop technology. Arts and culture were developed as the kingdom became a center of creativity and cultural diversity. At the level of foreign relations, the kingdom's relations with other kingdoms have strengthened, and strong alliances have been formed to defend peace and maintain global security. King Richard was a wise leader and an accomplished diplomat, who enjoyed the respect of the entire world. After a life full of giving and achievements, King Richard passed away and a funeral ceremony was held for him with the participation of thousands of people from inside and outside the kingdom. Then his name was engraved in the pages of history and his story kept a special place in people's hearts, as he became a symbol of wisdom, courage, and wise leadership. In this way, the story of King Richard and ancient times continues the tales and legends that are told to future generations, inspiring them to strive for justice and peace and to build a world of goodness and happiness. As time passed, King Richard's influence and legacy continued in the Old Kingdom. Schools and institutes were established to teach leadership and wisdom, where young people were trained in the noble values and skills necessary for leadership. Also, King Richard has become a legendary figure in stories and novels, as stories are told of his bravery, wisdom, and exciting adventures. And his name was engraved in the records of the greatest heroes and leaders in the history of the kingdom. The wise advice and wisdom of King Richard are still being used as an inspiration to people to this day. These tips center around courage, justice, sacrifice, and the desire to serve others. In the end, King Richard remains a symbol of wisdom, courage, and nobility, and his story reflects the human journey in facing challenges and striving for good.